Wake up and I feel amazing. Wake up and I started blazing. She touching and pushing my patience. I'm balling, I'm strapping my laces. Wake up and I feel amazing. Wake up and I started blazing.
I was like, what's that? But anyways, so the millionaire door knocker. Do you know who that is? You heard of this guy?
I think so.
He sells solar and stuff like that. He's really big in sales. I can pull up the name. I just have to pull up.
Does he have like a podcast or something?
He was talking about starting one. But
he's been on a few.
He's been on a few. Loves talking to anybody who will listen, and like about the power of door knocking, and like just make sure you get out there and go do the stuff. Michael O'Donnell.
He was on Brad Lee's podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
So anyways, he talked about a lot of stuff about how, he took a guy out training one day, and he's like, if I would have been by myself, it was pouring rain, the first door I would have knocked on, I would have hightailed it back to the hotel after they didn't answer because I didn't want to be out there. But because I had this new kid with me, I had to keep going. So they didn't answer, so I went to the neighbors. And then suddenly all this confidence comes in, and then I saw an open garage door. And then I saw a guy driving into this gated community. And so I stopped him in the middle of the road, being like, hey, I was just at your house, here's your business card. And stuff like that. So me starting out in this, and like, well, Jordan, I think you've done door-to-door sales, so you've done it as well. But me starting out in this, never experienced that. I have no idea what that's like. I have no idea what it's like to cold call somebody or show up at somebody's house that you're not expecting, not set an appointment, anything like that. How does what we do differ from that, and how does having that in-field experience change things versus just a virtual experience?
Yeah. So Jordy, take the since it came from a door knock, take the door knock, because I have very limited, like I've door knocked for this company, but it's not primarily
cold call.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, like just to kind of put a little context behind it, because like we used to get a list of people to go and see. When I moved to Ontario, it was a bit more flexible. You could pretty much knock anywhere, but like back in Nova Scotia, we would give it a list. But either way, you're still door knocking, right? Like they don't have your product. You're knocking on their door randomly and then trying to pitch them something. But I find what differs is that, I mean, obviously the fact that the company itself provides resources, so you're not cold calling, right? But having that skill of being able to just knock on someone's door and talk to them and create a conversation without just, like getting straight into a pitch or something. It's more of like the rapport builder and just being a people's person. I find that it teaches you those skills, because a lot of people don't have those skills, right? And when we were doing door to door, there was a lot of people who, I don't want to say they were introverted, but they weren't so much a people's person. And then when you get into that field, it's a confidence booster, right? Like that gives you a confidence boost. I go knock on someone's door, they answer, I say hello, I talk to them, they let me in their house, sit down at their table and show them why they should buy this internet product from me, because we were selling cable phone internet, right? So I think being able to knock on some stranger's door and getting them to allow you to come into their home because they like you that much, that's a really big trust building skill. So if you could do that, if I want to go, approach a girl and like say hello to her, it's not as nerve wracking. For an example, like that's a real life example. Same thing with girls. Like if a girl does door to door, she probably has more confidence to go talk to a guy that doesn't, right? So it's for me, the biggest difference that I think is it's a big confidence booster. And I mean, it's just a skill that I think everyone should have. And door to door is something that allows you to do that, because nowadays everyone's so scared to talk to people, like I especially here in Toronto, like I go to Starbucks, like people, like they don't even look at you. You look at someone, they look away right away, right?
That's
Versus
true.
back home, like I could even just start talking to someone in Starbucks, create a conversation, find out that they're also into cryptocurrency, and then end up going over to their place, and they come to my place, and we start talking about it for 3-4 hours, finds out that they have these connections that leads to us doing this big deal, right? It's like, it's harder to do that in Toronto. A lot of times it's like you have to know someone who knows someone that introduces you to someone versus just talking to people. But if you have that skill, you can go do it and then kind of break that barrier with people, the icebreaker and stuff. But
yeah, I think I love it too because I haven't actually had a door knock, but like what you were saying, Ash, in that regard is there's two huge things that I think create anxiety in people. Number one is just talking to strangers, right? And number two, it's the proficiency at the job. And the people that can talk to people have an easier time moving into getting proficient at the job because they just get over that first hurdle of communication. And so, like, in taking people live, it's kind of like what we do is we get them in the report. But when you're going in live, it's actually, for me anyways, it's a lot easier. And I think it was a lot easier for people too because people are a lot less standoffish in person. Even in the beginning they might be, but like there's still a real person standing in front of them, right? Um, and then the type of rapport that you build is going to directly relate to what kind of appointment you have. Like I never had like a whole appointment end negatively because I was literally live in front of them. I can read their body language. I can see what their legs are doing, and nervous taps, all that kind of stuff. You can't really pick up, right? When
Yeah.
you're live in front of somebody, they're not going to go like we get on Zoom and look over or do something different. They're actually going to check back in with you because you're physically in the home with them. So it is easier. It is an easier gig, not necessarily door knocking, but being live in front of people is definitely a little bit easier to bridge that rapport gap than being virtual. But like Jordan said, a warm lead or a reason to be there is entirely different than just walking up and knocking on somebody's door. So the funny part with that guy is, or the awesome part with that guy is, he got his elevator speech down so well for whatever he's knocking on their door for that he can build that rapport with a complete stranger in seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's just in his comfort zone in door knocking, which is why he continues to do it that way. Because if he's making $1 million door knocking, he'd make $10 million selling a higher ticket item or something of that nature. He's just in his comfort zone doing that door knocking and doing whatever he's doing, and then that's where he's making his money, right?
Yeah. I had the opportunity. So back when we were in Manitoba, we went to one of these cottage home shows or whatever, and I think it was Bell. They had a booth set up, and I had worked for the Source at the time. That's when I was the assistant manager at the Source. So like I was very familiar with the Bell products. Plus I had them in my home. And I remember talking to the guy, and he tried selling me on it. I was like, I already have it, but thanks. And I said, and you missed out this part, and this part. And he's like, oh. And I said, I actually used to sell it. And he goes, oh, you should talk to my manager. So I ended up talking to the other guy, and he offered me a position, especially in the area I was, and he wanted me to do like the door-to-door stuff with Bell. They're independent or whatever it was. They weren't part of like an actual store. And I was too scared to do it. I was chicken. Basically, I refused to go out the door. Had all the stuff, had everything I needed, but I was terrified to go and just knock on people's doors. Even though I knew the product, I knew everything about it, and I don't have a problem talking to strangers, but I had a problem going to knock on their door and try to sell them something. And I think it came from like all the different people who've knocked on my door. Get suckered into a water purifier system in a house that you're still paying on 20 years later, and a home security system, all these things that they come and knock on your door for, right? So I was curious with you guys who've been in the field and you've done the home things, like if I would have started this job and I would have had to go door to door or like actually go to people's houses, I probably wouldn't have taken it. I would have hightailed it out of here.
There's so many people. There's so many people that wouldn't do it. Here's the crazy part. I forget. I think I was talking to you about this, Ash, but like the amount of like, and I think like it's a positive because we're getting more people because it's virtual.
Mm-hmm.
But from those people, we're getting less production out of them because there's not as much, and the pressure's not awesome. But if the pressure is there, like of bills and stuff like that, it requires a different level of production, right? If it costs you $50 to go to work and you've committed to this job, well, in order for you to make money, you got to spend $50. So like with us, or for people that come on, they pay for the license and all that stuff, but like their day-to-day bills to do this job are already the bills they have for being at home. So I think the motivation that is tough to door knock or to do things live in the field because their expenses and stuff like that, it actually pushes people to actually sell a little bit more.
Hmm.
Right. And so when you're new at something, like the door knocking is really intimidating, but then you do 2 or 3 and then you realize, you know, it's not as intimidating as you thought, and then it starts to get fun. So the good people, like especially that guy, it's almost like a game for him,
Yeah.
right? So like they don't look at it as like a door knock. They realize that, especially after you make your first sale, you realize it's actually a process, not just the knocking on the door, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes
It,
sense.
it is definitely becomes a very, very fun job, except in the winter when it's -30 and you got icicles on your eyebrows. That sucks. But other than that, it's fun.
That's when you're waiting for that next person to open the door and let you in and offer you a cup of coffee.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like I had people let me in anyways, just because I was cold. Like, oh my god, I'm not buying anything. I'll tell you that. But like, do you want to come in for a second? Absolutely. Let me just warm up here. But I got a funny story for you guys. So when so do you guys, Dan? Do you know where Spring Hill is in Nova
Nova
Scotia?
Scotia?
Little
Yeah,
Connie town, right?
yeah.
So, anyways, we go up there for a road trip one time. It was nice. We got an Airbnb. It was a nice big house. There was, I think, 12 of us that went. It was like one of the biggest road trips we ever had. Bunch of us in this little place. I'm usually the one that's driving, but I left my car because we got a rental, so we got a bigger car or like an SUV. And anyways, I get dropped off. The guy Alex, he's the one drives. He drops me off. I had 30 leads on my sheet, right? And what the leads are essentially is an address that's wired up to potentially have the product, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm like, sweet, I got 30 brand new leads. I'm going home smashing it today. So I get out there, first house on the list. I go run up to it, knock. Girl's awesome, let me in. We sat down. She gave me some orange juice. I ended up getting her set up with like the whole package, basically. Go on to the next house. Doesn't exist. Go on to the next house. Okay, doesn't exist. Anyway, I just keep going and going, right? And then there was a couple houses there, but no one was home. There was like maybe 8, I think 8 out of 30 houses actually existed. And I'm like, man, I gotta go find someone, right? Like, I need someone to pick me up because I'm done for the day. I already knocked everything like 3-4 times. What do I do? So anyways, I go to call. I got no service.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's no service, and the guy that dropped me off was a 15-minute car ride away. Because obviously, you know how far apart the homes are, right? So his territory was 15-minute drive away. I had no service, so I'm like, fuck. Well, the other guy I know is about 10 kilometers down the highway. It's almost 30 degrees out. I'm in a suit. I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Like, I know where this guy is. I literally just walk straight down here, and I'll eventually reach him. So like, all right, I'm gonna walk down the highway. I'm gonna hitchhike. So I'm walking down this highway and I'm hitchhiking, and within 2 hours, only 4 cars drive by me. No one stops. I'm getting exhausted. I'm so thirsty, like just dehydrated out of my mind, like sweating. My suit is soaked. I probably had like sweat stains on the back of my suit jacket. Right? I don't know why I didn't take it off, but I didn't. And I'm rocking around this big binder and everything. And then all of a sudden, I just start hearing these sticks. No one ever believes this part, but it happened. So I'm hearing like behind me in the woods, like I'm hearing like sticks breaking and shit, right? Like a little ruffle. Okay. Start walking a little bit faster. Didn't look back just in case.
I would have
right?
ran.
Oh, and then you hear it. Fucking, I turn around, this fucking black bear runs out the ditch. It wasn't a very, very big one, but it's still a fucking black bear. And it runs out the ditch, stops, turns its head and looks at me. And I'm probably like a solid, I'd say I was a decent amount away. Like I'd say probably like 30, 40 feet, which is still like
so close. It's so close
right?
for a black bear.
And then I'm just there, and then it turns its head and looks at me. And I just didn't know what to do or what to think. And all I think is play dead or run. Fuck that, I'm running. So I start sprinting down the road, and then you can start hearing it, right? And anyways, finally, this guy's coming the other direction towards me, slams his brakes on, waves over like that, like, get in the car. So I run in, get in the car, we peel off. He's like, where are you going? It's like, dude, I don't know. I'm like, I give him the whole spiel down, what's going on. And I was like, I gotta go back the other way. But anyways, he whips around, takes me down to where I gotta go. We're just talking in the car the whole time. And turns out this random guy from Spring Hill went to the high school that I went to and was really good friends with one of my hockey coaches that I had back in the day. And he ended up signing up with me in the car, right? So I got him set up, and then I called my the guy that we both know. I ended up signing him up from the phone. So I ended up getting 3 sales that day. It was a crazy day, but I'm telling that story. I mean, it's funny, right? That whole part, but at the end of it, right? Like I got chased by a bear, which ended up leading me to this guy. The randomest time that another car comes by, which is the perfect timing, I get in. I end up selling him because we built great rapport. And he didn't care about anything that I was really saying with the products. It's like, you know what? How much is the deal at, anyways? Tell him, he's like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Sign him up, and then he gave me another person. He gave me a referral. But if I didn't have like that training that I had from before, like building rapport, like just being able to be more of a people's person and stuff, I don't think I could have done that and sold him in the car like that. But anyway, this is a funny story. That was probably like the most wild day I ever had.
I think that's more of a story of how much of a salesperson that you are, because you completely basically skipped over the fact that you almost got fucked up by a black bear, and then you went right back into sales mode. The next human being that you saw, I don't know if I would have kept on my I would have been on my sales game when Yogi almost bit my head off.
Bro, it was the funniest thing. No one believed me when I got back either when I told the story, but it happened. Tell you that.
Hey, as long as you saw it happened, you don't need witnesses.
Yeah, Donald's the guy I signed up. So look, you want proof? Let me know. I'll give you Donald's number. I still got it in my phone.
Oh
Were
my
you shaking?
goodness.
Were you shaking?
Oh,
Like
I
what
was
did you
like-
think when the bear came out? Like he's looking at you. Like what went through your head?
I said, play dead or run. I said, fuck that, I'm running. That's the only thing I remember. Didn't look back or nothing. I just heard it, right? And then I just seen the guy, luckily. That was it. I didn't really think much other than, fuck, do I play dead or do I run? Fuck that, I'm running. I ain't playing dead.
That's, yeah,
But
no.
yeah, I was definitely shaking in the car. I was like, it was intense, I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That is crazy. I've never had a crazy experience. I've also never been walking down the highway for 2 hours hitchhiking, so maybe that's why I wasn't lucky enough to experience a black bear up close.
It's not fun. You don't really want to. I'll tell you
I
that.
definitely don't ever want to experience a black bear like that up close. No, thank you.
Actually, you guys go camping and stuff like that. So, have you guys ever run into?
Seen them from a
any
distance,
animals?
but not anything ever close enough. Not anything ever close enough. I mean, I grew up in the country, so we used to have them come through like our yard and stuff like that. My uncle hunted. I remember being a kid and like being a 5-year-old and getting hauled out of your bed at like probably what felt like midnight, but was more like 8-9 o'clock because you're 5 and you should be in bed. I remember because we lived in like the middle of nowhere. This one story, my uncle called my dad and we just lived down the road from them. He's like, there's a bear in the yard and it's not going away and I gotta shoot it. I need you to come over and give me a hand. Whenever my uncle says there's a bear in the yard and we gotta shoot it, we know that there's a problem because like something's gonna go down. My uncle's he's an interesting character. It's funny. My cousin just started following our podcast, so she's gonna laugh when she hears this. But like, we call him Uncle Airhead all the time because he sees like ostriches in the field, and we call it like all kinds of crazy shit this guy runs into. And I just remember going over to their house late one night, and my dad and him go to shoot a bear, but that's all we know. And then the next, it ends up on the wall a couple weeks later, and you're like, oh, where'd that come from? But never had really any super close encounters like that where we're like, I have to run. Nothing on that front. Most of the time it's been in the car. So, when we went to, was it our Tobamori trip this last year, there was lots of bears in the park that were active that we were at. We saw some of the damage they did, but we were fortunate enough that it, like, the worst we saw on that trip was raccoons. But, like, bears can be aggressive, especially camping. Like, they ripped a tonneau cover off a guy's truck on our last camping trip. Like, tore it to shreds.
They're
And
no joke. Like they look like fluffy animals, but like they're literally like we're just a bag of meat. Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
Like we're in a shitty skin. This just paper basically to them. So like they wouldn't even really have to try to hurt us to do a lot of damage to us. So that's why
no,
they're one of the things I'd rather not hang out with anyone.
wouldn't stop me from camping though.
Yeah, that's gonna fall. I'll fall out in one of those on that list of the things that I don't really want to do because like camping's fun till bear crushes your head and you can't see out of your eyeballs anymore, and then
See,
you're gonna be like to live with that for the rest of your life.
when we camp,
Yep.
things that scare me more are the rattlesnakes.
Yeah,
Because
those
a bear
aren't
I'm gonna
not to be
see,
scared of.
a rattlesnake I'm not gonna see. So that's what's gonna freak me out a little bit more.
There's rattlesnakes in Ontario. I found that out.
Lots of
And
them.
it's actually true. Yeah.
The Massasauga rattler.
Where are they
Yeah.
at?
Up north, anytime we go camping. Jordan, you'll have to come
Muskoka?
camping with us. Yeah, Muskoka has them. They're for the most part not like right close to my house or anything like that, but everywhere we camp, there's signs.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going camping on this plan. I love camping.
We'll take you camping
Oh,
this
fuck,
summer.
yeah.
It'll be a good time.
Let's do it.
We're planning on road tripping. My in-laws are coming up next month. They're bringing the truck. We're getting a truck bed camper. The goal is to drive up to you guys this summer in the truck bed camper, road tripping it.
That'd be awesome.
Right?
The truck looks awesome too. Ray showed me the truck. It looks great.
Oh, he's so excited for this truck. He's so excited. So it's gonna be good. But yeah, so on that front, Jordy gets chased by a bear and sells a guy, and then gets another guy,
2 guys, yeah. 2 guys.
and that's what we run into. That's amazing though.
Bears don't shake Jordy's skills. That's crazy.
No.
You gotta try and distract yourself when you have that much adrenaline going. It's very uncomfortable.
So I guess the takeaway from all that, then, based off of like the question I originally asked, is it's all about being a people person and being able to develop those skills of getting people to trust you and being able to talk, eh?
If you're introverted, door-to-door sales will break that shit. As long as you
Okay.
stick with it. As long as you stick with it, you can't
Well,
allow it to get the best of you or the worst of you.
well, when I was listening to the podcast, it was Sabrina Lloyd's podcast, and she just said like the one thing she wants to get her kids to do at some point or another is just door knock. She goes, if there's one thing I can teach you in life is just door knock, because the experience it gives you and the lessons you'll learn from it are amazing. So.
Mhm.
It has to break you out of that shell.
Oh yeah.
So I was
Has to.
curious. That's why I figured I'd ask you guys. You guys have a little bit more experience with that than I do. So
Yeah. I even remember like we were kids like just doing the fundraisers like the bottle drives and stuff, right? I remember like little kids like 7 years old going doing that stuff. Like dad's driving around the truck, throwing the bottles back there. But like even that, I hated going up to the doors and talking to people. But that's kind of where it started for me to break that kind of barrier of introducing yourself to random people. Started like with a very young age for me by doing that. And then
We used to have to sell chocolate bars.
yeah, and we do
Yep.
that too. The school stuff. Sell the
Okay,
chocolate
yeah.
bars.
I ate a lot of chocolate bars. Not gonna lie.
I
Yeah.
loved selling chocolate bars actually. So I guess maybe I do have a little bit of door-to-door experience, but that's as a kid.
But it still helps as a kid too, right? And listen, like anything, you get reps. As you get reps in at anything, you're going to be better than when you first started, right?
Yeah.
And just being able to conversation itself is not something that people have the skill of doing. Like just you go to a get together or something like that, you meet somebody new. Like how many times have you run into somebody that's really awkward that, and obviously not to make fun of them necessarily because you just haven't acquired the skill, but you know, how many times have you been at a get together and you start a conversation and it's like, this isn't even a conversation, but I can't be rude and just walk away.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna die here.
When it gets really quiet and every 5 minutes, like, yeah, so how about that hockey game? Or you just got to find something to attempt to keep it going.
Well, see, those are the ones that you don't keep going because you want it to end. But like the awkward ones that they don't know how to keep it going, and then they just can't. and you're just trying to be like, okay, but there's not good timing to do it without looking like an asshole.
I get that.
Those are the best. Those are the people that should door knock. Kids and those people.
That's funny. So that ends that question. What do we have victories and challenges for the week. What's everybody? I didn't have no super large challenges aside from unfortunate events happen, but we're digging our way out of those, and everybody's on the up and up.
Yeah, challenges is when you work really hard and then the support staff that gets paid from the hard work you do are the reasons why you lose money. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow sometimes,
Definitely
less challenges this week than there was last week, but victories is direction. You don't get to an end goal with a big jump. You usually get there through multiple steps, and we're turning the ship in the right direction, and she's cruise controlling.
Yep, we're moving, definitely moving.
What about you, Joey boy?
I don't know, man. I haven't really had anything bad happen this week at all. Like it's just been one of those good weeks for myself. Like, kind of a bit different of a strategy. We started off with the week, moving in a different direction in terms of like the way that I'm going to be training people and stuff, and building my team, which is great. Starting to work with Sanjay now. We spent hours together yesterday. It's actually funny because he's into music too. Right, he's like produced, made some songs. We showed each other our songs and stuff for a while, chatted about that. So I don't know, man. I haven't had any challenges this week. It's honestly probably been the first time that there hasn't really been any kind of hiccups. Honestly, the only thing is I fucked my finger up at the gym. Right?
Yeah.
I think the bone might be broken, but other than that, I'm good. That was my challenge.
Awesome.
I still push through the workouts anyway, so.
That's awesome. And that's the other thing too, is like sometimes you don't want to get lost in challenges. They come up. But like think how you started the month, right? And your attitude and the fact that you show up and keep going and all that kind of stuff. I think they call it like stick with itness. They turn into good weeks. And not all weeks are bad weeks, right? They come, you gotta deal with them. You keep going. And if you keep going, good weeks come, right?
You know what they say? They say the only people who fail are the ones that quits. The only difference between the person who actually made it or not, they never quit.
Right. That's right. It's funny that people kind of don't realize that it's that simple. Like, obviously, you have to do some stuff around that, but you'll still get some degree of success just by keeping on. Like, it'll still continue to get better.
On.
Mm-hmm.
Keep on keeping on.
It smells like something's burning. Oh,
Hopefully not your apartment building.
Yeah.
We got what, 6 days left in the month, and everything's firing.
We have a 6-cylinder car running on 7 cylinders, so
that's good. Hopefully it overheats and catches on fire and crosses the finish line and just explodes. You know what I mean? Because
we're going out with a bang.
Go with a bang with March.
Listen, cars can always be repaired and rebuilt. So as long as we got that, we got the frame intact, we can build around that. Even if
we're upgrading next month.
Yeah, we're upgrading. We'll upgrade.
This is our March car. We need an April car. It's getting nice out. We don't need the snow tires. It's not gonna be much shit on the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll break out.
It's time to put away the beater.
We'll get the convertible in May. It'll start to get warmer in that month, and then might as well take some motorcycles out for the summer. We'll be cruising on a good time.
That's how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ash, what's
have I got a then there's that for you guys? I just found it. It's gonna be the next objection we get that we're gonna have to face when we ask people if they need a final expense plan. But we gotta do research so we know how much that we gotta offer them. Do you know there's a company that'll turn dead bodies into an ocean reef?
An ocean reef?
Yep. So you know all those people who say, throw me out at sea? Perfect. You want to be turned into a reef? Awesome. I'll get you all the details, but you're going to need this much for a final expense plan in place. That's what we got to do. It's the next thing we got to work on. Basically, what they do is they actually take your remains and they mix it with concrete and they create a pearl, which all your loved ones can etch their personal messages, handprints, and all that stuff into. And then they encase it in a reef ball and they drop it into the sea, where it gets to provide a new habitat for fish and other sea life and help encourage a vibrant ecosystem. So the circle of life at work. So I mean, pretty
cool.
awesome concept. I mean, that'd be cool.
That's neat.
Most people say just spread my ashes in the ocean. You don't have to anymore.
Right?
All you need is to go into a ball and get dropped off somewhere random where your family can never see you again.
I mean, listen, I'd be all over that. Be all over that.
Like, where's the reef at? Do they say?
No, they turn you into a reef, so they get a reef ball and it grows. It turns into its own reef.
Oh, I got you now.
Yeah,
I got you now.
So they turn you into a reef. So.
Not up on my marine biology, so I didn't really know what a reef ball
The reef
was.
is like the rock thing or whatever, like the growing white stuff that the fish float around in and stuff like that. It's like kind of rough feeling.
Yeah.
That's what a reef is. Like the coral reef, the great coral.
Yeah.
That stuff. It's like rock.
I didn't know what a reef ball was, but that's a pretty cool idea, actually.
It would be, hey?
That's really neat. So they plant the plants in the ball, and then they eat you, and then you're just getting eaten, and you make a plant.
I guess so. Kind of like turning. I had a client say they wanted to be turned into a tree. They have those. I knew about those.
Yeah, I heard about those too. But that's a neat idea.
Right? Should be a tree.
I wouldn't want to go swimming in that reef though, because then
It's like weird dead body.
reminds me of The Walking Dead. For whatever reason, The Walking Dead for fish pops in my head.
I definitely don't think it's one of those situations. Definitely don't think it's one of those situations. What about you, Jordy? What you got? What's your then there's that?
Well,
Come on, just do it. Just do it. You gotta do it. First one you find.
I'm telling you, it might actually help you when you go camping. Don't bring bananas with you when you go camping.
Typically don't. But why?
Because it attracts mosquitoes. So that's my then there's that for today.
Bananas attract mosquitoes?
Yep. When you eat a banana, it attracts mosquitoes.
Bananas go
People who
really
just eat a
bad.
banana. Huh?
Bananas go really bad when you camp.
Yep.
They're not a camping friendly food.
Nope.
Did you guys know that you're supposed to open the bananas at the other end?
Yeah, I
Yes,
found that out.
because the stem at the top is the handle. That's how the monkeys do it. And I mean, monkeys should be experts at eating bananas, so you should probably follow what they're doing. Apparently, it's easier to open them too.
Yeah, allegedly. It just looks like it's backwards, but apparently we're just backwards.
100% it looks backwards.
But
But it makes sense because if you think about it, when you're eating the banana and you're holding it at the bottom, how many times do you have to peel the whole thing and then pull it out to eat the last bite? Unless you're that person who doesn't eat the last bite because it's got like the weird shit on it, like me. I never eat the last bite.
Push it out. I push it out like a yogurt tube, you know? Well,
I mean, there's that.
yeah.
Then there's that. So no bananas during camping, and make sure you eat them backwards because the handle is what we always thought is the frontwards.
Yeah.
Then there's that. Well, we're grinding through March. We're still getting it done. This is number 3 in the bag, and we'll try to vamp it up a little bit for next week for sure.